Alright, so this video is for any guys that are wanting to pursue a certain goal or a dream, or they're in pursuit of it, but you feel like giving up because you're overwhelmed by the effort, the struggles, and the sacrifices that you have to go through or experience in order to become that version of yourself. Now, you have to understand that you're going to have to go through seasons of dark times. You're going to have to go through seasons that aren't necessarily fun, or you're not going to be motivated. It's not going to be a blast. And that's just what you have to experience if you want to achieve anything meaningful or become exceptional. Because anything worth having isn't easy to get. And I thought for the longest time that just because something's difficult means that it's not for me, or I'm incapable of achieving that goal. And guess what that led to? It just led me to running in circles because I wanted to go after this certain goal, but just because it was difficult, I was like, it's not for me, I'm not going to do it. And I kept trying new things. And I got nowhere until I realized that you have to go through those times and those seasons in order to become that version of yourself or achieve that goal. And when you have limiting beliefs, you think that you're incapable of achieving a certain goal, for one, you're creating a reality for yourself by thinking that. And that's why you have to be extremely cognitive of the things that you speak of yourself, because when you say stuff to yourself and you label yourself as someone saying that I'm incapable, that's what I always used to say to myself, then that's going to be your reality. But you have to understand that thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts aren't facts, and emotions aren't commands. So when you have a thought to yourself thinking that you're incapable, it doesn't mean that you're incapable. Or, for example, if you have the thought of your girlfriend cheating on you, it doesn't mean that she's cheating on you. It's not a fact. It's just a thought, and that's just what your brain does. Or, like I said, your emotions aren't commands. So say you feel stressed, it doesn't mean that you have to feel stressed. Or you're anxious or depressed, it doesn't mean that you have to feel that way. Something I always thought to myself was, I'm not going to remember the pain that I experienced, but I will remember that I'm not who I said I wanted to be. So I have the perfect analogy for you. So because I'm assuming anybody that's watching this does have a job, or you have had a job that you didn't enjoy, think about it like this. There was days that you didn't want to go to work. There were days where you drug yourself there and you absolutely hated it. But guess what? You went there for the money. You went there so you could get paid, which kind of an example of going to the gym. I don't necessarily feel motivated. It's not always a blast to go to the gym, but I go there to stay healthy, have energy, have confidence, and so I can get an impressive and exceptional physique. So the same thing goes with the job. If you don't want to go there, but you're going there for the money, and then a week or two later, it's like you never went, if that makes sense. So, for example, I don't remember the day that I felt unmotivated, or the day that I really pushed myself to go to the gym a year or two ago. I don't remember that. But if I would have skipped and did that consistently, then I would remember that I'm not who I said I wanted to be. So like I said, same thing goes with the job. You don't want to go, but you get the money, and it's like you never went. So you actually are winning in a way. So if you feel like giving up, just understand that pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. And either you're going to put in the work, or you're going to wish that you put in the work. So now that I got all that out of the way, I'm going to explain to you exactly on what I do when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel stressed, when I feel like giving up, when I feel anxious, and when I have limiting beliefs. This is what I do, okay? You have to understand that controlling and managing your emotions, your feelings, and your thoughts is a learned skill, and it doesn't come from changing your circumstances. So if you thought that, I'm going to become less stressed if I stop doing this thing, or if I stop pursuing this goal, it's going to be a lot easier, but it's just not the case. It's that you have to become stronger. And so That's why it was always so difficult for me. I always thought it was going to be easier if I tried something else, but it wasn't. It was just that I didn't develop the skill of learning how to manage my thoughts, emotions, and feelings. And so, like I said, it doesn't come from changing your circumstances. So it's from actually reframing your judgment on the external, because that's all it is. That's why you feel the way that you do, is because of what you think of it. That's how you perceive it. It's your perspective. So when you can reframe it and look at it in a different way, in a different perspective, then you're no longer just going to feel that way. And if you do choose to feel that way, then it's a choice. And you're allowing it to command you to feel that way. And so I just say, okay, so why am I feeling this way? I have to identify what it is. And I have to get to the root cause of it. And most of the time, it's not even anything bad. It's just my thoughts. It's just your limiting beliefs. And I've talked about this in the video before this one. And it was that you are your worst enemy. You have to learn to control your own thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. But it starts by reframing your judgment. It starts by reframing your perspective. And that's literally all you have to do. It's so simple. Now, it's not necessarily easy, but it can become a new habit. All right, we're switching it up. I feel like pacing, because when I pace, thoughts flow better. Anyways, so when you feel anxious, overwhelmed, or stressed, it's only because you've labeled something as that. You've labeled something as stressful or overwhelming. And so you just have to give yourself space and identify what it is that's causing you to feel that way, and then just reframe your judgment. And if you really feel like you have to quit and give up, at the end of the day, it's better to take a break than completely give up. Because when you give up, like I said, you're going to remember that you aren't who you said you wanted to be. But if you take a break, you can take a break and then get back to it. And that's why a lot of times I kind of take a maintenance phase when I'm lifting, training, same thing, or eating, tracking my calories. I take a maintenance phase to allow my body to resensitize and give myself a break, to prepare myself for success in the future. That's what a maintenance phase is for. To summarize, what I'm saying is that it's not going to get easier. You just have to become stronger. And it starts by learning to manage your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. And you have to reframe your judgment on the external, or on anything that's causing you to feel a certain way. And that you have to understand that you're going to go through seasons of hard times. You're going to go through seasons of feeling like you're going to want to give up, or limiting beliefs. You're going to think that you're incapable, but you have to stop and remind yourself, have the ability to stop yourself, because the more that you think those things and allow them to get to you and allow your thoughts to become facts, then it's going to shape your reality. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped. And yeah, go check out my other YouTube videos. They're pretty good. In my opinion. And then also follow the Instagram.